Straight talk from Israel. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
Well, happy Sukkot holiday to all of you. This is the fun holiday where we are with our families and we're sitting around the table. I baked a lot of goods and we sit and we talk. And one thing that doesn't just leave my mind is this shooting attack that took place in Las Vegas. I am going to be doing, yes, another show with different guests about the attack that took place because it's over a week later and there is still no motive. Now, we're going to be having on two Israeli military men who are going to be talking with me about the Las Vegas shooting. And I posted this on my Facebook page, and Larry had commented that, you know, this is like an American issue. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he says, you know, we have our Israeli issues, but he says, you know, everything, you know, we have to have an opinion about everything. But I'm going to tell you why. Because it bugs me. It bugs me that there's still no motive known. And it bugs me that people are screaming mass and sweeping gun control as the answer. How can we know the answer when we don't know what the motive was? Well, we don't know what the cause was. Because if this was indeed terrorism, as ISIS claims responsibility for this attack, then gun control has no issue here, or a little issue. Perhaps it was easier for him to get guns. We'll see. We're going to talk about that during the show. In any case, you are invited to call in with your comments or questions. We are live this Monday. And we will happily take your calls if you want to call in. Our numbers are on our homepage at israelnewstalkradio.com. I want to say hi to everybody who's listening in from all over the world, all over the United States, Israel, Australia, the Netherlands, Sweden, etc., France, United Kingdom. Okay, more. In any case, call in. This is your chance to be able to get your opinion on the air and to ask your questions, because I still have lots of questions. This bugs me. Why? I don't know, but it bugs me. We'll be right back.
There was a time you didn't worry about terrorism. It was something that happened in a faraway place or to someone else. But now you want to know. Now you want to understand. Now you're afraid that you might be in the danger zone. You need to listen to Gadi Edelman on the Danger Zone every week, where you will find out the truth about what is going on in the world around you. Gadi Edelman on the Danger Zone, right here on Israel News Talk Radio.
All right, we are back here at the Tamar Yonah Show on Israel News Talk Radio. And as I said, we're going to be speaking with two Israeli military men about the Las Vegas shooting, because it bugs me that it's over a week and there's still no motive. And it bugs me that people are screaming mass and sweeping gun control when we don't even know what the reason was in the first place and if it'll even help, and what that means to freedoms of people and the Second Amendment, et cetera, et cetera. So our guest that we're having on right now is David Ramati. He is a retired military man from the U.S. military and the Israeli military. He's also a book author. He fought in the Vietnam War on 2 different tours and served 6 years in the United States Marine Corps. He later made Aliyah to Israel and served 25 years in the IDF, where he served to try to quell the terror from southern Lebanon into Israel in the Litani operation and Operation Peace for Galilee. He served there as assistant company commander, and he also served in the Israeli border police. He was a security officer in Jewish towns bordering Arab enclaves, and he's written a few books about his time in the military, where you can order them on his website at davidramati.com. We will link his website to ours where this show is podcasted. So welcome to the show, David Ramati.
Well, thank you very much, and Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach. Happy holiday to you. Happy Sukkot holiday. So let me ask you this. Let's just start out with this. Yesterday, I had a guest on. He was an anti-terror expert. He was Israeli. He lives in Las Vegas today. He has a school where he teaches anti-terrorism. And it was his... he was persuaded that, or he was thinking that possibly the motive might have been that he was simply, like his father, psychotic, and that with a mixture of medications or drugs and alcohol mixed together, this maybe set him off. Yet, in the Washington Examiner, they write that, quote, the most odd thing about Paddock, Wynn said, was that he was never known to drink alcohol at all. And so this would dispel that type of theory. I'm also unconvinced about that. What do you have to say?
Well, I think it's very difficult to psychoanalyze a corpse. And so anybody that can come, like an armchair quarterback and can say, well, of course, he must be insane, is actually making an insane statement themselves, not based on anything. Together with that, I think that all terrorists are not acting in a normal manner. Because the normal thing to do is not to be a terrorist, is to try to find some other way working out whatever disagreement you may be having with the government or with each other.
And when you're saying terrorist, you don't necessarily mean a religious Islamic terrorist. You just mean a terrorist, anybody who does a criminal act on a mass scale like this. Is that what you mean?
Well, yeah, that would be the definition of a terrorist. I mean, I could be called a terrorist for many things that I've done in the past. It depends on, who wins the war. The losers are always the terrorists. The winners are always heroes.
I know, and I want to remind our listeners, I've had you on before, we know that in the Vietnam War you have killed many people, and you talk about that in your book as well. But we're going to veer this back to Las Vegas because this is what we want to talk about right now, just that you have a little bit of an understanding there. Let me just read a little bit more here. In a Haaretz article, it says that Paddock's motive for carrying out the mass shooting, the deadliest in modern U.S. history, remains a mystery. And Lombardo, he's one of the heads of the investigation there, said he believes it may have been a lone wolf attack. He says, quote, we have no idea what his belief system was. Now I'm going to stop there because if they have no idea what his belief system was, how can they rule out that he converted to Islam and that he was sympathetic to ISIS?
Well, that's called the fog of war. They really don't want to release any information that might compromise their assets in the field that are attempting to find out exactly what his reasons or what groups he might have been attached to. So I would say that there's a lot of fog of war here. The FBI is great at not telling the truth. We know that. And the sheriff obviously is leaving options open, which he should. I think that the most critical part of this act of terror is the copycats, the lone wolf Islamic terrorists that have been watching television and saw how effective it was. They will do the same thing sooner or later. They say, well, let's go up on top of a building, or let's go to a football game, or let's do this or let's do that, because it worked. And a lone wolf with ammunition and guns and the desire in his heart to kill a lot of people will do it again and again and again. And that may not have anything to do with Islamic terror originally, but I am sure that ISIS is looking at this, and so is Al-Qaeda, and they're telling their operatives, what's wrong with you guys? Why can't you do something like this?
That's an interesting angle that you're talking about there. Let me bring this back to motive again, and I just want to state this for all of our listeners. I do not know anything special. I don't have any inside information. I'm just using logic, and I'm using history of what we've learned in other events throughout this era that we're living in, and this seems to display itself like a terror attack, like an Islamic terror attack. The fact that ISIS took responsibility for it, and the fact this is what bothers me here, that ISIS comes out and says that he converted 6 months ago, whatever it was, and that he was doing this for ISIS, and they take responsibility. And immediately afterwards, we're talking like an hour or so, I see headlines saying the FBI rejects this and it's not true. Now, how can the FBI know so quickly without having examined his had time to examine his cell phone during that time, his social network if he has one, anything on his computer? They didn't even have time to check out his background to be able to make a flat rejection like that. And that really bothers me.
Well, I'll tell you, what the FBI doesn't say many times is more important than what the FBI did say. The FBI did say it doesn't appear to them that ISIS is involved. It didn't say maybe Al-Qaeda is involved, maybe other terrorist groups were involved, because it doesn't want to say. The FBI left out all of that. The FBI didn't say that they know for a fact he didn't convert. We do know for a fact that he did travel to Saudi Arabia and other Middle East countries before he did this. Look, the FBI is an organization that lives in fog and will keep us in fog. So when you look at what the FBI says, also consider what the FBI didn't say.
All right. Let me propose something else to you that I was talking about at my table in the sukkah with our guests. And that is that if we go back in time and we remember the Islamic terrorists that shot up 49 people in a gay disco or a gay bar in Orlando, Florida. And I remember those news stories that were saying that the FBI knew about him, but they didn't follow up on it. They kind of like let the ball drop. And the reason was, they were saying, is because the FBI has been infiltrated by Muslims through Obama, and that they want to keep Islamophobia down, and they want to kind of like keep these things quiet. They don't want to pursue things that have to do with Islamic anything that can make more Islamophobia. And that tells me that perhaps, indeed, and again, I do not know, I am wondering, if indeed the FBI is infiltrated with Muslims that or the State Department has an interest in it, or whatever it is, that they would all of a sudden say, no, this is not ISIS, don't believe what they're saying. And since that might be the reason, that's why they haven't found the motive. Could that be possible?
I don't think so. I don't agree with you. Most law enforcement agencies, FBI included, are very, very careful not to spread panic. I don't believe they're infiltrated by Muslims or they're infiltrated by whatever. The FBI are pretty well vetted, and I don't believe that's a problem. I think that what we're dealing with here, as I said, the FBI doesn't want to reveal information. It is considering all the options, but it's not going to share them with the general public.
I can agree to that. Let me just read you this one thing before we go to the break. This is an article from The Hill written by Philip Haney, and it says, the title is, "The DHS Ordered Me to Scrub Records of Muslims with Terror Ties." And in this article it says, quote, "After leaving my 15-year career at DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, I can no longer be silent about the dangerous state of America's counter-terror strategy. Our leaders' willingness to compromise the security of citizens for the ideological rigidity of political correctness, and consequently our vulnerability to devastating mass casualty attack." This is what we just saw. Again, I could be wrong. It may not be terror, but it certainly again, this looks like the footprint, the MO of a terror attack. ISIS did take responsibility. The FBI, in my opinion, came out too quickly to say no. And you yourself said that he was in the Middle East. What is this guy from Las Vegas doing in the Middle East?
Oh, that's an interesting question. But in regards to scrubbing a person's past, I've had that done to me as well. And in this particular case, if I had a Muslim terrorist that I turned, I would definitely scrub his past. Because if I didn't scrub his past, he wouldn't be very good for me to use as an informer.
All right. I can accept that they're keeping it quiet because perhaps it is, and they want to do more investigation. They don't want to ruin anything. We'll talk more about this when we get back. We invite your calls. What do you think? We'll be right back.
You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
This is Shai Ben-Tekoa, and each week I'll be webcasting to you from Judea, origin of the word Jew, a people besieged and beleaguered in every generation. Nazi Germany is but a memory, but in its place the world invented the phantom Palestinians as this generation's internationally authorized Jew killers. Tune in for a different slant on life in Israel, the Phantom Nation, every Monday.
All right, so motive. We've been talking about the motive of the Las Vegas shooter, and I want to talk now about gun control. There is a big talk in the United States about they're screaming mass and sweeping gun control. I say if we don't know what the motive was yet, why try to take people's guns away or stop gun sales? And our guest that we're speaking to right now is David Ramati. He is a military man himself. Well, should I say he's killed many people himself as well. He I believe, is a very good guest for this show to talk about these things. And so, David, what is your take on people screaming for gun control?
Well, I find it very interesting. Now, gun control is probably a good thing depending on what you're talking about. Do people really know what they mean by gun control? If you're talking about fully automatic weapons, we have very strict gun control on that if a person buys it legally. For instance, you can buy a machine gun anywhere in the United States, but it has to be registered with the federal government. And you have to get licenses, and it can cost you $20,000 to $30,000 a smack. And then you're on a watch list. Now, if you're talking about just buying a hunting rifle, semi-automatic hunting rifle, that can be turned into a machine gun in about 10 minutes by anybody that watches a YouTube. They'll teach you exactly how to do it. You can also get parts that are necessary to do it. So you can get automatic weapons. You can make automatic weapons. You can buy automatic weapons. The question is, are you going to use automatic weapons on your fellow citizens? And that has nothing to do with the gun. A weapon is a weapon. It's like a knife. It's like anything else you use. If people are going to use something to kill other people, they'll use anything that's available. If people are not interested in killing another person, you can give them an atomic bomb and you won't use it.
So let me put this forward as well. Chicago has one of the highest death rates of murder from guns in the United States. And most of those guns were obtained illegally. So then taking away the Second Amendment wouldn't help at all. Only the bad guys would have guns because they're going to get it illegally. And the good guys who want to protect themselves and their families would not be able to get guns.
Well, first of all, if I were to protect myself and my family in America, I would not use a fully automatic weapon. I would just simply take a nice pump shotgun, shorten the barrel, and load it with a double-aught and with slugs. And
let's not give people any ideas here.
And I could take care of anything coming on the street. No, I was born in Chicago. I know Chicago's a tough town. And Chicago's always been a tough town. But you may not know this, but more people are killed in Chicago by criminals than have died in the Iraqi War. Israelis, I mean, not Israelis, I'm sorry, Americans. criminals will also have guns. They also have rocket launchers. They also have chemical weapons. Come on, rogue states, like all criminals, have everything in their arsenal. Banning guns to people that actually have no intention of using them is not enough. I mean, it's nice to talk about, but it's not enough. And the enough is go get these criminals, put them in jail, and if they resist, shoot them.
Okay, so your stance on gun control very quickly?
I think that there should be no gun control at all. I think that anybody that violates the laws, which would be in some states taking a semi-automatic weapon and making it fully automatic, should be punished in accordance with the law. I believe that that's about the extent of gun control. Gun control should be using existing laws and enforcing them.
Now, I was joking with people. It's a black joke, a very dark joke. But they have those. What are they called? Memes that you have on like these big pictures, and they say something. I think that's what you call it. It's memes. And they have these sayings that say guns don't kill people, people kill people, right? So I was thinking of doing one for Chicago, which we know is Democratic territory. I would say guns don't kill people, Democrats do.
I think that's an exaggeration.
Of course,
I think that I really don't even think that could do anything other than make people irritated at Democrats, because Democrats and
right.
Republicans are exactly the same when it comes to gun control. There are a few politically correct liberals in both parties who have no understanding of self-defense, have no understanding of weapons. None of them have ever served in the Army or in the Marine Corps and combat. So that's where their understanding of weapons comes from reading articles by other liberals.
Okay. In any case, it was just a dark joke, everybody. Don't take it too seriously. All right. I love Democrats, too. We love everybody. All right. So let's take the last few minutes that we have and talk about protecting yourself. God forbid if you find yourself under an attack, whether it's criminal or terror, whatever it is, you're under attack. What do you do?
Well, let's take, for instance, the recent attack where he was shooting down from the 32nd floor. First thing you do is commend your soul to God, because, you're going to get hit or not. He's just spraying the area. Now, in a normal situation where they're shooting at you from about a 90-degree angle, that would be that he's on the ground and you're on the ground. Of course, laying down is extremely good. But in a situation where he's shooting at you from, I don't know how many degrees, I would say he's shooting at you from 32nd floor almost straight down, I would say laying on the ground is good, but then you better crawl as fast as you can, move your ass in the direction of the bullets so that you can get underneath his arc. You get out of his sight. He's not looking at you. He's spraying the herd. Now, when the herd of people panics, a lot of people are going to get trampled as well. So get down, crawl in the direction of the shooting as fast as you can. And if it's at a 90-degree angle, just get down. It's really hard to hit a person who's laying on the ground when you're standing and shooting in their general direction. Chances of survival are very good.
Okay, but let me put this to you. If you're a regular civilian, you don't know about guns, and you're just panicking. You hear bullets spraying, you see people dropping. Maybe you're not so good that you're looking around and you know where something's coming from. There could be echoes, so the bullets might sound they're coming from this direction and really come from another one. What do you do?
Well, you listen to the veterans. There was a lot of veterans that had been in combat that were actually standing there screaming to people, get down, get down, get down. Mm-hmm. First thing when you're being attacked and you don't have any way of defending yourself is drop, commend your soul to God, because your ass belongs to the shooter, and crawl as fast as you can to cover.
Mm. Okay, what else? What after that?
Well, after that, hopefully, you get under cover and you stay there. Let the security people do their job. You give whatever aid that you can to the wounded that would be there with you. You try to put pressure on their wounds with your hands, if necessary, anything else to keep them from bleeding out. And you pray that it'll be over in time to get these people to the hospital.
So it sounds like the people in Las Vegas pretty much did that, and I think that they should commend themselves.
Absolutely. I do believe some people were trampled as well, which was unfortunate. But I saw that there were enough vets in the crowd that they actually took control of the situation. And the people that had served, either in the police or in the fire department or in the military, kept their heads and they helped people to survive.
Very quickly, I want to go back a bit about the attack and ask you, do you believe that he was the only gunman, or do you think that there could have been other people involved?
Oh, I think that we have the fog of war here, and I bet you very seriously every single intelligence organization that in the world is working on that same question. And as I said before, I don't think that's the major problem. The major problem is all of the Muslim extremists sitting in America pretending that your neighbors, your friends, watching that on television and saying, damn, I'm going to do that myself.
And so is there any way to quell this, to stop this? Or is it, a door that's been open and it's too late?
I think that the door was open in 9/11, and the only way to stop it is to fight it. Kill them when you find them. Don't even bother to arrest them. Just kill them, and keep on killing them, and keep on fighting, and keep on watching them, and keep on working together with the security that you have already in America and that we have in Israel. And it's going to be a long war. It might take another 50 years. We're going to have casualties. People are going to die again. People are going to die in every part of the world until the Islamic extremists are pushed back into the hole out of which they crawled.
Well, they're going to have to change the law in order to shoot on sight. But let me ask you one last question. Here in Israel, it seems that everyone's got a gun. Just about. You're in the military. You might have a combat soldier in your house or someone who is in the community security. You might also have a gun or even automatic weapons in your home. And yet, thank God, we don't see much gun violence here in Israel on the side of the Israelis, of course. I'm not talking about the terrorists. So can you comment on that?
Well, every weapon that's issued by the Army to us, to me, to anybody that's been in the Army is fully automatic. It has a selector switch. And it's obvious that, you're going to use it on a terrorist, and we call it neutralizing him. I like to neutralize him with as many bullets as possible.
All right. I want to encourage everybody to go. I'm encouraging you to do this because I read his book and it was very interesting. Go to www.davidramati, R-A-M-A-T-I, davidramati.com, and he's got his books there about his time in the Vietnam War. Very interesting. And I want to thank you for your perspective, David Ramati, on the Las Vegas shooting and what the motive might have been. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much, Yona.
All right, and when we get back, we are going to be speaking with Mordechai Ben Menachem. He is another Israeli military man, served time with Arik Sharon on the Gaza border, inside Gaza, I should say. We're going to get his take, and we'll also be talking a little bit about the holiday, because we have to do that. We'll be right back, everybody. Remember, you can call in if you have any comments or questions. Our numbers are on our homepage.
Why are so many non-Jews interested in Judaism? Why are they so curious? Did you know that the prophets of old prophesied about this, and it's happening now? I'm Rod Bryant, the voice of the righteous in the nations. If you want to understand this and much more, tune in to Israel News Talk Radio for Beyond the Matrix. News, views, and wisdom for the nations. Join us at my new time every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Israel time and 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com.
All right, so it is the Sukkot holiday. We are talking about Las Vegas because it just bugs me that it's been so long that there's still no motive found. They still don't know, and it bugs me that people are still screaming mass and gun control, etc. And we don't know what the reason was, so we don't even know if that could help. So here to talk about that and a little bit about the Sukkot holiday that we're in, we have joining us Dr. Mordechai Ben Menachem. He is a researcher and a former lecturer at Ben Gurion University. He's authored close to 50 books. No, over 50 books now, and 400 research papers plus. He's probably most known in the non-academic field for authoring the book Muslim Winter, as opposed to the Arab Spring, and he served in Israel's war of attrition and spent much time in Gaza, serving directly with, at that time, General Arik Sharon. He comments on the Middle East and world issues. Dr. Mordechai Ben Menachem, so welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you on. Okay, so we were discussing during the break, I was asking you what your opinion was about his motive, because nobody knows at this time, or at least nobody who knows is saying that they know. Perhaps the FBI does know what's going on, but we don't know. With your experience and with your knowledge, do you lean either way, that he was just a psychotic or that it was possibly terror? Where do you lean?
You have to first of all start with the facts. The facts are that the man had more than 50 weapons. That's not something psychotic. That's something very strange. Now, does that necessarily mean that he's funded by some outside agency like an Islamic terrorist group? One can guess that, but it's only a guess. It doesn't. We don't have any real details. We don't have any facts. I couldn't find anything on the internet that gives any hint except some nonsense from Crib News Network, Crib as in diapers, which at one time tried to claim that the whole thing was because he's a registered Republican, but then they found out that he's a registered Democrat, so that didn't work. We have to remember that the whole concept of gun control in the United States is a major issue. The city with the tightest gun laws is Chicago, and it's also the city with the highest number of deaths from guns. So the idea of gun control is not a trivial idea. It's been bandied about for decades and has continually failed. As a matter of fact, Chicago has more deaths from guns than does Afghanistan.
Right, we were talking about that in our last segment with our guests. Well, I just want to state this. I am leaning, if people can't tell already, that this was more like terror. I'm just thinking, if it was anger, he hated his ex-wife, or he hated Trump, or whatever his reason was, it would seem to me logically that they would have either made threats before that, and then they carried out these threats because they're angry, right? And so angry people are talking about these things usually. Is something that's well planned and as a conspiracy is hush-hushed about. Or if it's terror, many times it's hushed about until right before. So the fact that he didn't leave any suicide note, the fact that he never talked about it, the fact that it looks like so many other terror attacks that we've seen, just leads me that might be the conclusion. And also it really bothers me again that the FBI immediately said it was not ISIS or any type of terror attack, just like an hour after ISIS claimed responsibility. It seemed to me, how did they check that out so quickly? How can they already say no when they still don't even know what the motive was? So all that bothers me. Do you want to comment on that before we go to the Sukkot holiday and nicer subjects?
Yeah. We need to remember that people learn. So the fact that it looks like a terror attack, it could be that this man simply learned how to do things from watching terror attacks. Again, we can't say definitively that it is or it is not. We don't have the information that the FBI hopefully has. I'm not quite convinced that they have any information. Nothing has been published. Nothing real has come above board. So it's really hard to make any claims here. The fact that ISIS claimed that they had something to do with this, it's really meaningless. I remember when Levi Eshkol died, and he died of a heart attack, totally natural death. Immediately, Fatah claimed responsibility for his death. Of course, they were liars because that's what they do. They lie.
Yes, they could be lying. Yes.
So the fact that somebody made a claim is a fact, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a verifiable fact.
Okay, I just want to throw these other things in to, mess us up even more and confuse us, is that there are claims that there was Antifa material found scattered all over his room. There are also claims that there was a woman or someone in the crowd telling everybody and shouting, "You're all going to die tonight." And then she was supposedly escorted out, this woman, by security. And another thing thrown in to the mess here, talk about, I hope I'm getting this right, that the sister of his girlfriend that was in the Philippines called her and said, do you know what he did? And her answer was something like, "Don't worry, it's all under control," or it's, whatever. And it would just seem to me that somebody who got a phone call like that would not believe it. They would say, "What? It can't be. How could he?" No, there must be somebody. You would just be in denial at first to already say things like that, if that's true. So, really, this has to really be siphoned out. Things need to be clear, because when things are not clear, conspiracy theories get made up all over the place. I've already seen things that the Jews did it. It's crazy stuff. So anyway, talking about the Jews, let's go to a nicer topic. I don't know if I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow or not, because it's a holiday and I do have other responsibilities as well and obligations with family, but say something nice or educational or any type of message we need to hear about the holiday that we're in now, and Simchat Torah, which is the holiday that is coming up Wednesday night and Thursday.
It really is a wonderful holiday. I mean, when you put everything into perspective, we start off with the New Year, Rosh Hashanah, and then we have 10 days, and we conclude those 10 days with Yom Kippur, and then we immediately after that, just a few days afterwards, we have the Sukkot holiday, which is 7 days, and a very strange thing happens here in these holidays. All the Jews in the world, what do? They pray. Okay, and what are they praying? They're praying for the entire world. We're not praying for ourselves. We're not praying for our individual selves. We're not even praying for Israel, the country, or Israel, the nation, or Israel, the people. We're praying for the entire world. I sort of have a lot of experience with other religions and things like that. I haven't heard anybody doing that. Most religions pray for their brethren. But here we are, we're praying for the entire world. We're praying that everybody gets proper food to eat, gets the proper water that they have to drink, gets rains in time. That's a pretty unique kind of thing. And we have to remember that during the time of the temples, that is the first, the second, and the coming third, this is the time during Sukkot when people from all over the world, not just Jews, come to Jerusalem to acknowledge the sovereignty of the temple. And remember what I'm saying, the sovereignty is not a question of statehood sovereignty in that sense. It's a question of moral sovereignty. Acknowledging the ultimate morality of the Torah above other man-made moral values. And that's a really fascinating concept, that here we are representing all of humanity for their benefit, not for our own personal gain. That's kind of unique.
That's kind of beautiful too, and I'm proud that we're such a wonderful people, that we care about all of humanity. That's a beautiful thing that you're saying. And you were talking about the rains, and today here in Israel we got our first real rain weather. Some flooding up north as well, and also in the Dead Sea area. I understand there are hikers that needed to be rescued that were hiking. You want to say something about the rain?
Yeah, an interesting thing, and if you look at philology, if you look at the study of languages, in Hebrew we have a special word for the first rain. This rain is called the Yoreh, and we have a special name for the last rain of the season. It's called Malkush. Now, words like that cannot exist in European languages because they don't have a concept of a first and a last rain. It rains all year long.
You got to finish in 30 seconds, Mordechai. Go ahead.
Okay. So it rains all year long. Here it rains. The rain is seasonal. So we have a special word in the Hebrew language for the first rain and another word for the last rain. Hebrew has many words. I won't go into detail. We don't have time. Many words for different kinds of rain. And this kind of a rain is a very joyous kind of rain. It shows us that God is with us and is smiling on us.
It absolutely was, although they say it's better to rain after Sukkot, but it was very exciting today. And may we only have good things happening to us in the future. I want to wish all of our listeners a happy holiday. And Mordechai, thank you for coming on the show and giving us your take on things as a military person, also as a religious Jew, sharing with the holiday spirit with us. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And everybody, just want to let you know, I may or may not be here tomorrow, but you can always write me Tamar, Tamar, at Israel News Talk Radio. Thanks for being with us, everybody.
If you love Israel News Talk Radio, then you'll love our Facebook page. We keep you up to date on what's happening in Israel, plus little surprise treasures that we don't share on the radio. Go now to follow us on Facebook. Just look for the Israel News Talk Radio Facebook page, and don't forget to subscribe and follow us by clicking on the like button. We post great stuff there that you'll want to share. Israel News Talk Radio on Facebook and Israel News Radio on Twitter.
If you're hearing this message, everyone else can too. Advertise with Israel News Talk Radio and get your message out to people. We'll build a personalized package for you. Contact advertising at israelnewstalkradio.com.
Straight talk from Israel. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio. News, opinion, and more. You're listening.